Hi guys, thank you for watching my introduction video and welcome back to my corset making video. Today I will be showing you how I make my own corset from scratch and also including like the pattern making of it, but just a short information about it and then more on the actual corset making process. So here I already measured my body and then made my pattern, and here is my lining fabric and my outer fabric. So this is like a floral design on it, and fabric, or we call it here in the Philippines as pelon. So one side of it has adhesive, so once I'm able to cut the fabrics, I'll be pressing it on my inner lining as well as be sewing my boning or polyester boning rigidly. So for now, I'll be cutting all the pieces and then pressing it as well. Now I have cut the outer fabric and the inner fabric all together. Here I have flattened my lining fabric and then pinned the entire fabric before pressing so that the inner lining and fabric will not move during the pressing process. Okay, so after pressing the interlining fabric, you can see there is no lifting at all, so that's already fused into the lining fabric, so that I'll just have to cut this out following the shape and the size of the interlining fabric, because I've already added 1/2 inch of seam allowance. For the outer fabric, I already did basting stitch in all of the seam allowance, and for the fused interfacing and lining fabric, I'll just have to sew everything right sides together. So here, right sides, and then all the seams is where I'll be sewing a straight stitch. So I've finished sewing all the side seams for this corset. So here's the lining fabric with the interfacing and then the outer fabric here. I'll just have to press everything flat so that we can start sewing the outer lining into the lining fabric with the interfacing. I can now sew the main fabric to the lining and interfacing material, again right sides together. I will be sewing the top seam all the way through from one end to the other end. Make sure to pin everything together so it doesn't move when sewing. Now that everything is sewn together, I mean the top seam of the corset, I'll just have to go in this seam allowance extra fabric and then cut the sides where it has a curve, so that when we flip it over, there will be no bulky piece of seam allowance on the inside. I will then do a basting stitch on the side and top seam, including all the seams in between, to make sure that it's all lined up properly. I then run a top stitch on the sides and top seam, and also 1 centimeter away from each seams in between that serves as the boning channel. Using a continuous boning, I measured all the seams in between and I cut 2 pieces for each seam. I then burn to dull the edges of the boning so that the boning will not puncture through the fabric. Time to insert all the Ridgeline into the boning channel. Once again, burning the edges and taping it before inserting fully into the corset and sewing for the finishing touches. Here I'm adding the bias tape in the corset hem. Pinning one side first, the lining fabric, and one side of the bias tape. Finally closing the other side of the bias tape into the main fabric using a straight stitch. Last step is to add the grommets or the eyelets for this corset. To attach the grommet, I measured the back piece, making sure that every hole is 1 inch apart from each other. I did the same on the other side of the corset. This is the hole making bit and the sealing of the eyelet grommets into the corset itself. I'm so happy that this corset turned out amazing. It fits like a glove in my body, and I really love the print, the fit of it, and the back detailing. So as you can see here. So yeah, that's my corset making video. If you have clarifications or questions, let me know in the comments and I will respond to you as early as I can. Bye for now. I'll see you on my next video.